Welcome back, guys. It's Kids Coding Playground here, and today we'll be making a Halloween game for Halloween. So we're making a Halloween shooting game. Basically, the point of the game is just to get as much score as you can. So I'll just show a demonstration of the game. Okay, so use target. You just basically shoot these things on a shelf like that, and there's a timer in the top left. That is the how much longer you have, and in the top right is the score. You can see. So as you can see, when you finish, it says thanks for playing. Your score is 770. So our final score was 770. Also, one more thing. The pumpkins, you get the least points. These you get a little bit more than pumpkin, and this you get the most points. And as you can see, the pumpkins won't regenerate until you take them all out. So you see this one that I just shot, it won't come out until you take them all out. And then once you take them all out, they'll all come back. So you have to, so basically you have to shoot the whole line before you can have them all regenerate at once. And when you shoot one, it'll just be gone until you shoot them all. Yeah. Okay. So let's get coding onto the game. So let's start a new project. Alright, so inside our new project, we just don't need the scratch cat. Rename our project. We're going to name it Halloween Shooting Game. Halloween Shooting Game. So we're going to get some sprites in my backpack with the target and the pumpkin. And we have the backdrop. So let me show this real quick. Pumpkin. And then the backdrop, we have just like this. So what I did was, let me just duplicate this to show what I did. So right here is the shelf, we drew it. So we have, let me ungroup it. So we have the brown. This is just like a brown square or rectangle. And then we have a darker line and then a lighter colored line right here as like the shelf. And then right here we have the frame of the shelf. And then for the background, we just pick some green and brown color like that. So yeah, that's pretty much how you draw the backdrop, or you can just export it from our project in the link in the description. So that's our backdrop. And our pumpkin, we actually made this from our last year's Halloween game, the Smash the Pumpkins game. So if you have not watched that, be sure to watch it. We show how to draw it in that video, and we also have like the other sprite, so when you destroy it, it'll break. So it's a broken pumpkin and the normal pumpkin. Okay, so we'll be getting the other sprites for this project. So we also have the skeleton and the ghost. They're both inside the sprite library. So we have the ghost, and then we have the skeleton. Okay, and then so you saw when I shot the skeleton, it would like break into pieces. So basically what you do is you duplicate the costume and you just like drag all the pieces apart. So I'm going to go to the costumes for the skeleton. We're going to delete these and we can duplicate the first one. And with the first one, basically you can just like, I guess, break its body. Yeah, okay. So move it however you want. So I'm just gonna do it like that. Okay. So now let's start on the code. So we're gonna go to the target. Inside the target, we're going to get a green flag clicked. We'll zoom in. We're going to get a set game timer. So we're gonna make a new variable called game timer. So we're gonna set the game timer to 20 in the beginning. So this is not to get confused with the other timer we'll have later in the video. Game timer is like the timer for the game. So we're going to set it to 20. Make another variable to score, so this is just the score for the game. So we're going to set the score to 0. And we're going to make another variable called show score. So show score is basically, you know how at the end it says, thanks for playing, your final score was, and we're basically just going to set the show score to the score. So we're going to just set the show score to 0 in the beginning for now. And then we're gonna broadcast a message called start game in the beginning. Start game. And then we're gonna make the target go to the middle in the beginning. And we're gonna set another variable. So we're gonna make another variable called fire shot. So basically it's to detect if the shot is being fired or not. So we're gonna set fired shot to being 0 in the beginning. And we're gonna wait 0.2 seconds before actually starting the game. So I'm gonna wait that a little bit, and then we're gonna get a forever loop. Forever we're gonna get the go to X. We're gonna get the go to X. Where is it? Oh, set X. Sorry, set X to the mouse X, and then we're also gonna set the Y to the mouse Y. So it will follow your mouse. As you can see, the target's following our mouse. And then we're gonna make it go to the front layer, so it's in front of the sprites, those monsters. So we're gonna make it go to the front layer. And then we're gonna do an if mouse down. So if you're like pressing down, so if mouse down, then we are going to get a sound. This toising sound, whatever this is. Sounds like that. That's the one we had. And then we're gonna broadcast a message after this and name it shot fired. Shot fired. And then we're gonna set the fire shot to 1, meaning that a shot is being fired. And then we're gonna wait 0.1 seconds, and then we're gonna set back to 0. So 1 means a shot is being fired, and 0 means it's not being fired. Okay? So we have the first part of the code, and when you click, it just plays that sound. That's all we have. You can see the fire shot is changing when you click. Okay, so next we are going to go to the pumpkin. So let's go to our pumpkin. So inside the pumpkin, we are going to make a new block. So this is just a setup block to set up everything inside the setup. So we're gonna name it setup game. And click OK. And we're gonna define this block. And we are going to do set pumpkin counter, which is a new variable. So we're making a new variable called pumpkin counter. So this is basically how many pumpkins are in each row. Let me hide all these variables for now. Set pumpkin counter to 0. I mean 4. Sorry, there's 4 pumpkins in the middle row. There's gonna be 4. We're gonna evenly space them out by 100 steps, and then we're gonna make the first pumpkin go to the X position of -155 and the Y position of 0. And we're gonna hide it, and we're gonna make clones of it. So we're gonna do hide, clear graphic effects. Set the size of the pumpkin to about half the size, so 50%. And then after that, we are going to repeat 4 times because we're making 4 pumpkins, so we're going to repeat 4 times. We are going to create the clone of myself, and then we're going to move 100 steps so the pumpkins are evenly spaced between each other. So move 100 steps. Okay. If your pumpkin is like smaller or bigger, you might have to adjust the number of steps and the number of clones you create, because it's not going to be the same as ours. Ours pumpkin is about 100 steps apart. So you can actually just like export our pumpkin if you want, but you can draw your own if you'd like as well. So now we're going to get when I start as a clone, which is what the clones, this is like the code for the clones. And we're gonna, in the beginning, switch costume to costume 1, which is the non-broken pumpkin, as you can see. And then we're gonna set the color. So we're just gonna make it like the pumpkins pick random color. So we're gonna like set. I'm gonna set the color effect, pick random 1 to 300. So it's like a random color. So make the pumpkins random color, and we're gonna make a show. And after that, we're gonna get a forever loop. Forever. If it's touching the targets and the fire shot is equal to 1, that means the shot is being fired. So we're gonna get an and. So we're gonna do if touching target and fire shot is equal to 1. Fire shot is equal to 1. Oops, wrong one. Fire shot is equal to 1. Then we're going to change the pumpkin counter by -1. Because 1, you just shot a pumpkin, so we're going to decrease the amount of pumpkins. So since pumpkins are the easiest to hit, we're going to change the score by 10, which is the lowest score, I guess. We can make the other ones a little more. And then we're going to switch the costume to costume 2, which is the broken pumpkin. And we're going to wait 1 second. And then we're going to wait 1 second and then delete this clone. So when you shoot it, it's going to be broken, wait 1 second, and then it'll delete it. So you can see that the pumpkin is broken. So you can see the pumpkin got shot, okay? And then we're going to get a 1 green flag clicked. We are going to call the block setup game. And then we are going to forever, if the pumpkin counter is less than 1, so that means you have like no more pumpkins. If pumpkin counter is less than 1, so like I said earlier, the pumpkins don't respawn until you take them all out. So we're going to do if pumpkin counter is less than 1. Now we are going to broadcast and wait. We're going to wait because we don't want, let's say you take them all out, we don't want them all to respawn at the same time. So we're going to wait and make broadcast another message called start pumpkin again. And then in start pumpkin again, we are going to, when I receive start pumpkin again, we are going to wait 2 seconds before we set up the game again. So after 2 seconds, it will restart. And when I receive start pumpkin again, we're going to delete all the clones to make sure everything is deleted. Start pumpkin again. Delete this clone. Okay. And now we're going to have to do another when I start as a clone. So if the pumpkin is not hit within a certain time, the pumpkin will be hidden and then reappeared later. So this is the script we'll be working on next. So when I start as a clone, we're going to set the new variable. So we're going to name it timer for this sprite only. So select this for this sprite only. And then so we're doing it for this sprite only because each one will have their own timer. So like I said earlier, don't get confused with this with the game timer. So this is not the same thing at all. So this is just to check if the pumpkin's not hit within a certain time, it will reappear later. So we're going to select the timer, and then we're going to set it to 0 in the beginning, and then forever if not. So if it's not touching the target, then we'll change the timer by 0.1 to 0.5. So it'll go up by a little bit every time it is not touching the target. So I'm gonna change the timer. Pick random 0.1 to 0.5. And if the timer is greater than 3, if the timer is greater than 3, so this is just a number we're using. So it's not technically 3 seconds because it doesn't, like, let's say you like touch the target. So you have to like not touch the pumpkin for it to like go up. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So we're just gonna use 3. And we're gonna wait a 0.1 second right here. Let's just add that real quick. So you just have to not be touching it for it to constantly go up. That's what it is. And then we're gonna get timer greater than 3. We are going to hide, wait 2 seconds, and then we're gonna like set it back to 0, set the timer back to 0, and then I'll make the pumpkins reappear again. So set the timer to 0, and then show it, make them reappear again. Okay, I think that is it for this part. Let's maybe try it out. Okay, let me hide these sprites. Okay, so now let's play it. So you can see the pumpkins are spawning, they disappear randomly. You shoot one of them, they get destroyed. So yeah, our game is working. So once all the pumpkins are gone, they all respawn again. As you can see, you shoot them all, they all gone, they all respawn again. So this is exactly how you want it. It's working perfectly fine now. This is working. So now I'm gonna zoom out so you guys can see if you missed anything. So might be a little bit smaller, but I think you can see. And right here. Okay. So you can pause the video if you want to check your code. And then basically the ghosts and skeletons are basically almost the same concept. So we can basically just, so inside the ghost, let's go to the ghost first. So inside the ghost we are going to, basically we can just drag in everything from the pumpkin, just change some small things. So we can drag the setup game to the ghost. But obviously instead of pumpkin counters, we're using ghost counter. So we're going to make a new variable called ghost counter. And instead of setting the pumpkin counter, we're going to set the ghost counter. So since ghosts are a bit smaller than the pumpkin, we are going to 6 ghosts. And then we're going to make the position -165. And then we're going to make the Y position 100. Okay. And this should be repeating 6 times because there's 6 clones, and it should be 65 steps instead. Okay. Next, we are going to get a when green flag clicked. This is like setting up the game, setup game, forever. Oh yeah, we can just drag this in. So just like drag this in, and we have this right. Instead of pumpkin counter, we're gonna use the ghost counter, and we have to broadcast another message instead of start pumpkin again. We're gonna call it, you guessed it, start ghost again. Start ghost again. And then when I start as a clone, drag and drop this into the ghost. Okay. So we have, instead costume 1, we're gonna switch to ghost A, and then we're gonna set the color that's the same. If it's touching the target and fired shot is equal to 1, meaning it's getting shot at, then we're gonna change the ghost counter by -1. And since ghosts are a little bit harder to hit, I guess, not really, but okay, we're going to change the score by 30. And we're going to switch the costume to Ghost C, which is the one where the ghost is raising his hand. So, and then wait 1 second, delete this clone. That is all the same. And then we're going to get a pumpkin, go back to the pumpkin, we're going to get this. So, right here, remember the timer is for the sprite only. So you click it, it's only for the ghost, as you can see. So remember, set it for the sprite only. So this is all the same. We can keep this all. And then instead of greater than 3, we can do 4 because there's more ghosts than pumpkins. So we're going to do that. Okay. And then remember the start ghost again. We can just receive the message when I receive start ghost again. We are going to delete this clone, and then we can just duplicate this, and when it started we can just wait 2 seconds, and then we're gonna set up game to restart the clones. Okay, now I'm gonna zoom out so I can show you guys the code. It's basically the same thing as the pumpkin, but you just have to change some of the variables. So make sure you have all the variables correctly or this will not work. Now to the skeleton, finally. So in the skeleton, we just drag and drop the code from the ghost, I guess. Oh, and before we go on, I forgot to show you guys the ghost. So now the ghost and pumpkins both work. As you can see, they all disappear. You shoot them. Shoot the ghosts. If you shoot all the ghosts, as you can see, they're all gone. They all respawn together at the same time. So you shoot all the pumpkins, they all respawn. Okay, so now it's working. So in the skeleton, it's basically the same concept. So inside the skeleton, we can just drag and drop this setup code game into the skeleton. So right there. But instead of all this, of course, no ghost counter, I'm going to make another variable I'm gonna make the variable skeleton counter. Skeleton counter. Instead of ghost counter, we're gonna be using the skeleton counter variable. And then we're gonna go to that -155 and -100 instead. One shelf lower than the the lowest shelf is where the skeletons are actually. And then we're gonna hide. This is all the same, except we're gonna repeat 5 times and go 75 steps right here, because we're only making 5 clones of the skeletons. Because skeletons are a little bit bigger than the ghost, so we're gonna make 5 clones, repeat 5 times, move 75 steps. Okay. Drag and drop this into here. So instead right here, we're obviously gonna do the skeleton counter. Skeleton counter. And instead of this, we're gonna make another variable. And we're gonna call it start skeleton again. Start skeleton again. And in here, drag and drop this into the skeleton. And right here, we're in the beginning, we're going to switch the costume to skeleton A, which is the non-broken one. And then this is all the same. We're going to change the skeleton counter by -1 once it's getting shot. And how about let's change the score by 20 for skeletons. And then we're going to switch the costume to skeleton B, which is the skeleton A2 or whatever, which is the one that's broken. So yeah. Okay. And finally we have to drag and drop this last piece of code into the skeleton. Timer is for this sprite again. And then forever not, this is all the same, except let's make it greater than 5 for here, since there's more skeletons as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this. What else could we add? Oh yeah, I forgot. We have to do the start skeleton again thing. So we have to, when I receive start skeleton again, we're going to delete this clone, duplicate this, and then wait 2 seconds, and then before setting it up again. Okay. Set up game. Yep, so now we've got it. Now one more, let's go back to our target. So inside the target, we're going to code something else. So right here, we still have something to code, like the game timer and all that. So when I receive start game inside the target, we're going to forever. Actually, yeah, we're gonna have to put something in front of that. And this is not a forever loop, sorry, we have to make a timer first actually. So we're gonna go to game timer and 20. So 20 seconds, I'll give them 20 seconds. Repeat 20 times. And we're gonna wait 1 second before changing the game timer by -1. So this is basically a timer for 20 seconds. And next is duplicate this, remove that, just take the start game. Forever. So we're gonna detect if the timer is less than or equal to 0. So if we're gonna need or, so the game timer is less than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 0. So we're equal to 0. So game timer less than or equal to 0. We are going to broadcast start game. I mean, a new variable. Actually, no, this is going to be stop game. We have to. Stop game is basically when you finish. When there's no more time, you're going to stop the game. So we're going to have to do stop other scripts in the sprite, and we're going to get a stop this script. Okay. And since this is all done, let's go into the pumpkin. We have the stop game. So inside here, stop game when I receive, stop game. Then we will stop other scripts in Sprite. And just drag and drop this to the ghost, drag and drop it to the skeleton. Alright, they all have it. Okay. And then we're gonna paint a sprite. Let's make a I don't know, whatever color, red, whatever. And then we're gonna say, let's see, what should we write? Oh yeah, let me just copy what I got from before. So thanks for playing. Thanks for playing. Your score is okay, and then we're gonna put the game timer right there. See. All right. So inside the code for this thing, we're going to get the code for it. Drag this here. When green flag clicks, we're going to go to 0, 0, and then hide the variable. We're gonna hide the variable show score in the beginning, and then hide the sprite. And then when I receive stop game, then we will set the show score to the score. And we're going to show the show score variable and show the sprite. Okay, so let me show the variables we need. So we'll put the score in the top right. We input the game timer in the top left. And the show score in this thing, double click on it and put it right here. Okay, let's go full screen. And shoot these, shoot. Yeah, so it's working, I assume. See how much score I can get. As you can see, the time runs out. Thanks for playing. Your score is 820. As you can see, that matches up with the score up here. So that is it for today's tutorial, the Halloween shooting game. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed watching this video. And happy Halloween to everyone celebrating it today. Hopefully you can get a lot of candy, I guess. Alright. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.